Good morning and afternoon. Thank you all for joining us today. The National 911 Profile Database would not be what it is today without your participation. So we thank you again. My name is Kristen and I'll be moderating this session. We're excited to share a lot of great improvements to the database this year, including a simplified numbering structure for the data elements, a more modern website interface, and new and updated resources to help guide users throughout the process. We're also very pleased to have John Evanoff and Kim Anderson from the FCC with us today to talk about their 911 data collection effort and how the two coincide. I'd like to go over just a few housekeeping items before we kick it off. During this webinar, attendees will remain on mute, but we encourage you to submit questions and comments throughout the webinar using the chat feature on your control panel. We'll then answer these questions during the Q&A portion at the end. If you happen to experience any technical issues, please also use the chat feature and we'll try and assist you that way. The webinar will be 60 minutes long. It'll be recorded and archived online. We'll send a link to the recording and the weekly emails to all the designated state and territory points of contact. Next slide, please. There's a lot we'll be covering today to help make the data submission process as easy as possible. Lori Flaherty, the coordinator for the National 911 program, will provide background information on the profile database, as some of you may be new to it. Sarah Weston, a fellow member of the profile database team, will then review the data collection timeline for this year and demo how to access the database, find helpful resources, and submit data. We'll then hand it over to John and Kim to talk about the FCC's data collection effort before wrapping up with Q&A. One important thing to note is the email address should you have any questions or comments about the profile database. You'll see it at the bottom of the screenshot here. It's 911database@redflashgroup.com. We'll share that address again later in the presentation, but it's probably the most important thing to remember should you have any other questions once the webinar wraps up. All right, I'll hand it over to Lori now to talk about the profile database and why it's such a valuable asset for the 911 community. Off to you, Lori.
Thanks, Kristen. If we could have the next slide, please. Just to give you a little bit of background on where this all came from. The National 911 Profile Database started about 10, maybe 12 years ago. It was the idea of the program as well as the National Association of State 911 Administrators. And this data collection has always been based on two questions that we asked NASNA. What data would be helpful for you to have and collect? And what data is feasible to collect? And that has always been the basis of this database. In order to compare yourself to other states and in your own state to provide justification for your ideas and your budgets, obviously you need data. So we have been working on this database ever since. And at NASNA's request, we partner with the folks at the FCC because we know you only want to do a data call to the locals once. And we want to reduce the amount of redundancy between the two data collections. Next slide. So the purpose of the profile database is to provide a current state of 911 systems across the nation, as well as each one individually. As I mentioned before, we've been doing this for a while. Actually, the first data collection began in 2011. And at that point, we only had 28 states and territories submitting data out of all the states and territories. Participation has continued to grow. Last year, we had 48 states and territories submitting data voluntarily to the database. And we really appreciate everything that it takes to do that. The profile database assesses 56 different data elements, and they are divided up into two basic categories. The first part is your basic demographic information, the number of calls you take, the number of PSAPs you have, the certain level of service that you have, annual costs and revenues. And then the second half of the last part of the database really is providing information with regard to planning, procurement, and transition to next generation 911. So what you're submitting not only gives us some really basic demographic data, but it really provides a picture of where the 911 systems are across the country and helps all of us build the case for moving that forward. Sarah will talk about this, but we have made improvements to the data collection tool. And we also thank NASNA for that, because there was a small committee of folks that helped us with that. You know, there is a lot that they've done to make it a little bit more intuitive, but the process for inputting the data basically remains the same. Once you log in, there's only one button to click to get into the survey. There's help and there's extra resources. And then the final 2 pages of the survey are combined, and Sarah, will, as I mentioned, will get into the details of that. We've also made a few updates to the questions this year to make them as clear as possible. And again, we thank NASNA for that, because your input was invaluable in that process. I think at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Sarah.
Thank you, Lori. Hi, everyone. I am going to talk to you today about this year's collection and this year's survey. You'll see on your screen here that this is the time frame for this year's collection. April 1st is not only April Fool's Day for you this year, but the first day you can jump in there and start entering your data. So that I thought that was a fun day to start the data collection. We are planning to close data collection on June 1st. In that time frame, if you have any questions at all about a particular data element, any of the questions, any of the supporting information, the team is here. We are here for you. We are offering you support in any way, shape, or form. Email that email address, and you'll see it. Again, Kristen said on the bottom of every single page. But we just want to emphasize that we are here to help you. We realize that the coronavirus outbreak has really increased everybody's workload, and we are mindful of that. Given that it looks like we're going to be dealing with this for a while, we are sincerely committed to working with you and accommodate the demands on your time and the time of the local agencies that you'll be asking for data. So what I'm saying is that June 1st deadline is our goal, but we will gladly work with you. Just let us know. So after the database closes, we spend a few months analyzing and validating the data, and we might have some follow-up questions with you on specific data elements. And then in December, we publish the report. We try to keep it all in one year because this is the 2020 data collection. However, we're collecting the data from 2019. So keeping the report in 2020 kind of minimizes the confusion that way. So we think. Whoops, sorry about that, guys. Okay, I'm going to do a live demo of the survey. These are some of the screens that you'll see. I'm not going to go into great detail right now on these because I'll be clicking through and showing you. But these slides are here so you can go back and refer to them if needed. So the first page is going to be the landing page. And then you click to enter. As Lori said, there's one button to click to enter, and then you'll see the login page. Again, I will be going through all of these in detail. Some helpful tips before we get in there. It's best to view this website in full screen mode, and I'll show you that once we get into. We have some tools on the side, and if you're not viewing it in full screen, they go to the bottom. They'll still be there, but it just works better if you have full screen mode. The survey automatically logs you out after 30 minutes of no activity, and any data that you have not saved, you will lose. There are many ways to save. Again, I will show you It's pretty easy, but just keep that in mind. When you are logging in, re-logging in, it will take you to the first section with incomplete data. So say you get in there, you fill in the first section, save it, and then log out, or it logs you out automatically. When you log back in, you'll automatically go to section 2. Or say you are filling out the survey, you get through section 7, but there's a question that you forgot to answer in question 2 or just skipped because you didn't have the answer. When you re-log in, you'll go back to section 2. And this is officially the progress towards submission of 2019 data map, AKA the map of shame. And I'll show you how that works in a minute. There are 10 sections. As Lori said, there are 56 questions. It says numbered 1 through 56 because if you have filled out the survey before, you will appreciate that they are numbered 1 through 56. So you're welcome in advance. We restructured the whole numbering system. I will go and show you all of these functions. We streamlined the look so there's less text on the page. So when you click more info, you're going to get definitions and things to help you. And again, there'll be a save and continue button at the top and the bottom. And I'll show you all of that. We have tools, as I said, on the side of the page there. The data definition document is every question that you'll see in the survey and all of the associated definitions and helpful information. The user guide is a step-by-step tutorial. So kind of how I'm going to walk you through today. It does screenshots like you see on the slides and will show you every step of the way how to use the survey. Also, we have updated and created new videos for this year. Right now, they just talk about some of the basic functions of the survey. And also, I have gone through and explained one of the more complex sections in a helpful video. So I know everybody has a different way of learning. Some people are hands-on, they just want to go in and click around in the survey. Some people want to read about how to do it and see it in front of them. So we have the guides for that. And some people learn best by watching. So we have the videos available there. We plan to make more videos as we go. So if there's a question that we're getting repeatedly on a data element or a function, we'll go ahead and create a video and post that so that people will help people out. And these are the last 2 pages. I will go through these again, but the one is final comments. After submitting your responses to all of the elements, you'll be taken to this page. This is your opportunity to provide any comments or information, suggestions accompanying your data submission. So for example, if you are a little unsure of your response to a particular section, we first encourage you to reach out to the project team to assist you, but also you can put a comment in here so the project team can help verify your data. You'll hit save and continue there, and it will take you to the last page, which I will show you when I do the demo. Okay, let me switch over. To the demo. So this is the landing page, the first page that you will see. You'll click to enter. I just want to point out that in order to get a permission to enter, you have to be a verified user. So the state administrator or whoever they designate as points of contact, we have to have expressed permission from the point of contact for you to be able to have access. If you have had access in the past, your username and password will still work. So you can use the same one that you used last year. If you're like me, you may not remember your password, and we have a click to reset password here. Again, if you're registering for the first time or renewing, well, the password probably won't, oh, never mind. If you're registering for the first time, please allow 24 to 48 hours for new registration to be approved. Also check your spam mail because sometimes that happens. If you don't hear anything in that amount of time, please contact us. And again, the website is over here. So I will go ahead and log in. Okay, this is what the first page looks like. You'll have your information here, who's logged in. Again, you'll be able to click on these to go to your resources, and then this email address will be here for you. Before we go in, this is what the progress towards submission of data looks like. As you can see, we've had a couple of states as beta testers. Thank you again, NASNA members, for helping us out with this and getting some of the bugs and fine-tuning completed. If your state has not provided any data, you will be that navy blue color. If you started data submission and not completed, it'll be yellow. And if you are all done, completed, your state will turn green. And you click in here to take you to the survey. Up at the top, you'll see a completion bar. Mine's at 4% here because I've been beta testing and clicking around, but basically it will tell you how many data elements you've completed and what your percent complete is. I'm going to go ahead and walk you through the first question here. This one's pretty easy, pretty straightforward. Enter the total annual number of 911 calls delivered to primary PSAPs in state, even if not answered or no dispatch occurred. This is your more info section. You click here and it will expand. These will vary for each question. Some of the other questions are more complex and they'll have more information in here, but basically we put whatever definitions we think are needed for the question and any additional explanation. So you can also collapse that if you don't need it. Here is where you'll put your number of calls. One thing to keep in mind is every single question needs to be answered in order to hit submit. I know that most everybody will have questions that they don't know. Clicking this box, unknown, is like answering the question. So you can have unknowns in your survey and still submit. You just can't leave anything blank. You cannot have unknown clicked and enter information here. It's one or the other. So I'll put our total number of calls in there, and then you'll hit save and continue when you're done. I wanted to show you this pop-up specifically here. There are going to be some sections where there's some math going on. So for example, the other questions on this page are enter total annual number of wireline calls, wireless calls, VoIP, MLTS, and so on. Ideally, the total of all of these answers should add up to your total amount, total number of calls. Sometimes, I understand that's not always going to happen. So this just lets you know that the sum does not equal total calls. You can hit OK and still move on. So you can hit save and continue. That saves all of your work. Also at the bottom of the page, you can hit save or save and continue. Save and continue takes you to the next section, or we have navigation up here so you can click on whatever section you'd like to go to. That was pretty straightforward. Like I said, they aren't all that straightforward. I wanted to take you through a couple of sections where we've made big changes and just kind of show you what we did and how that works. So you'll be a little bit familiar with it when you get in there. Section number 7 deals with Next Gen 911 procurement. There was a little bit of confusion last year. So what we did is we broke the questions. You can see here 30, 31, 32, 33, 34. And then this description up here gives you instructions on how to answer the questions. So we'll just go through it real quick. Identify if your state has met any of the following milestones for Next Gen 911 procurement at the state level this year or at any point in the past. Meaning if you released an RFP 5 years ago, you can answer that you've released an RFP. However, when we go through this, you can see our more info. So for this information box, it gives definitions for what we mean by 30 through 34, what all of the Next Gen 911 parts, functions, and components are. So that'll be helpful for you when you're filling this out. And then once you get down here, you have all of these options. So we're trying to take the guesswork out. So say your state is in the procurement of GIS services. You've released an RFP. That's your answer. NG core services, well, you released an RFP 5 years ago and now your system is installed, tested, and deployed. That's where you are there. CAD, we've not released an RFP. We're not in CAD procurement at the state level. So you would say none. As long as you click one of these, that'll be answer. Say you don't know if you've done procurement for recording system. We still have the unknown button there for you. So that is also a question down here. We break it into, instead of at the state level, this is for regional, sub-state level procurements in your state. Okay, another section that I want to talk to you about is section 10. Section 10 is the Next Gen 911 maturity level section. This has caused some confusion in the past, so we wanted to try to make this a little bit easier. This is asking where your state is in terms of maturity level towards Next Gen 911. We're trying to get a big picture of where all the states in our country are for Next Gen implementation. We have defined levels. So let me walk you through 48 here. What level of maturity does your state fall into for the category of governance? There are 5 maturity levels for every one of these questions: legacy, foundational, transitional, intermediate, and jurisdictional end state. These have different definitions for each one of these questions. So in this case, all of the definitions of these maturity levels have to do with governance. So these will be very helpful for you to read through and try to answer the question, because what we have here is a drop down where you can pick which level of maturity. A question that we get a lot is, say, my state has done everything that's defined in the transitional section, and we've done some activities in the intermediate level. You would then report that you're in the intermediate level. So that goes on for each of these. Again, all of these definitions are different and they all apply to the specific question. We have governance, we have call routing, we have GIS, next gen core services, network, call handling systems, security, operations, and other optional interfaces. So section 10 is the last section, which then takes you to the final comments that I explained earlier. This is a free form. You can type however much you want. Save and continue. And this is the last page. This is the overview mark complete page. It tells you here the total number of questions that you've completed out of the 56. And then it breaks it down for you for each section here. Say you've gone through, completed all of the questions, either marked them unknown or put an answer in, you can click here. I've completed entering data for the 2019 reporting year. Obviously, I can't click it right now because I've not answered all the questions. This page is helpful because if you get down here, try to click and it doesn't let you, you can easily see which section you have to go back to answer questions. And once you can click that check mark and you do, you'll be able to click the submit data button. Your state will turn green and you will be happy that your state is a green state on the old map of shame, because we will be sending out emails every week showing progress. Okay, I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint presentation. So next steps, what do we do now? The first thing I would make sure in your state is that you have your designees ready. So go in, make sure you remember your password. If you're new or if you have a new designee, make sure that you or they create a new account, because like I said, it may take a couple of days to get your credentials. So make sure you go in and do that. I did forget to show you, you can click you can get a PDF of all of your questions. You can print them out. We also have all of the questions available in the user guide as well. But you can print that out. You can start looking, start preparing to collect the data. If you think you're going to need help, you can let us know. You can let us know at any time. But if you want to involve us early, we are here to assist you. I will be here again. The best way to reach us is that email address. Like I mentioned before, we will be creating resources and videos every week as we go. So any question you have, please, I can't say that enough, let us know, because we'll be sending the weekly emails, offering all of the tools that we can and showing you what the progress is across the country. Something to keep in mind is that, yes, we are in 2020. This is the 2020 collection year, but we are collecting data for this survey from 2019. And with that, I will throw it over to John Evanoff from the FCC.
Well, hello, everyone. My name is John Evanoff. I'm Deputy Chief of the Policy and Licensing Division of the FCC's Public Safety and Homeland Security Bureau. I'm here to talk about the FCC's 911 fee report data collection. So the main takeaway for today would be on April 1st, we're going to launch our data collection. This will be our 12th annual 911 fee report data collection. And we're going to provide a due date of July 31st, which is an additional month from last year and from previous years. We at the FCC recognize that many of you, if not all of you, and us at the FCC as well, are dealing with the coronavirus pandemic. And so in light of circumstances, we feel that additional time is warranted. The data collection serves the purpose of promoting transparency and accountability in the collection of 911 fees and enhanced 911 fees. The Net 911 Act requires the Commission to submit an annual report to Congress on the collection and distribution of 911 and E911 fees and charges by the states, the District of Columbia, and U.S. territories. As part of our annual review, the 911 Act requires the Commission to report whether 911 fees and charges are collected by the states and other reporting entities are being used for any purpose other than to support 911 and E911 services. The Commission formally solicits data for the report from states and reporting jurisdictions through a questionnaire that we provide online. This year, we'll be providing a questionnaire online as well as by email to governors and state 911 coordinators. Our 911 data collection also covers next generation 911 expenditures. As I mentioned, we've issued about 11 reports, and on the next slide, we'll cover some recent trends that we've noticed. Sarah, can you toggle to the next slide, please? Okay, thank you. So on this slide, we are showing some trends going back to 2015. We've been collecting data much longer than that, but this some of the recent trends that we've noticed. So first off, we've noticed that all reporting jurisdictions in the last 2 years have responded. In this last report, one jurisdiction reported very, very late, but we were able to recognize them. With regard to total 911 fees collected, we see that in the 2019 report. Now, I just want to clarify at one point here. Regarding the 2019 report and these other reports, we collect data for the previous calendar year. So in this field here of total fees collected, this is total fees collected in calendar year 2018, January 1st through December 31st, 2018. So it's not fiscal year. And so in the 2019 report for calendar year 2018, we're reporting about 2.6 billion collected in 911 fees, which is fairly consistent with the last several years going back to 2015. Regarding state and next generation NG911 expenditures, again, 36 states have reported next generation 911 expenditures, which is again consistent with what we've seen in recent years. Same thing with the expenditures. We saw a slight uptick in NG911 expenditures in the 2019 report over 2018. And the number is fairly consistent with previous reports going back to 2015. Regarding 911 fees diverted, however, we did see a downward turn last year relative to the 2018 report. But historically, this number is fairly consistent with what states have done in the past. Sarah, in the next slide, please go to the next slide. Okay. So on this slide, just want to reiterate that we will be launching our 12th annual collection of state 911 and E911 fees. The report will, the data collection will be due July 31st. We also will be posting our questionnaire online for states. We also provide access to previous reports and state filings on our 911 fee report webpage. The webpage is listed here under the second bullet. For questions, please contact myself and Kim Anderson at 911feereport@fcc.gov. Okay, thank you.
We'll open up now for any questions or comments. So remember to please use the questions feature in your control panel to send us questions. All right, I'll kick it off. The first question we have is for you, Sarah. Is there a way for states to see or export the data that they've submitted to the database?
Yes. I'm going to switch back over to the database. Okay. I believe if you are on the last page here, this is the overview, mark complete. There's a button here, print preview. You can click, and that will print out all of the questions and all of your answers. And you can print it here from the computer. You can print a PDF. You can print on your printer, whatever you need.
Perfect, thank you. The next question is for John and Kim regarding the SCC's data collection effort. Who will the questionnaire be sent to?
This is John. The questionnaire will be sent to first the governors and state 911 coordinators. We anticipate sending out the questionnaire by email to the governors and coordinators. We'll also post the questionnaire online on our 911 fee report webpage. And so with that, we hope to reach every person that's involved in generating the response to the questionnaire and getting them involved as soon as possible.
Great, thank you. Okay, next question is back to Sarah. What can states use to collect data from the local PSAPs or ECCs?
Great question. That, of course, is up to you and what you can do in your state. What we can offer you, if you let us know that you need help, we can help create a survey monkey that you can then release to the PSAPs or your local entities to help them more easily submit information to you. And then using the survey monkey, you will be more you'll be able to more easily compile the data as well. I talked to many states last year who are setting up websites or data entry forms. If you're interested in doing something like that, let us know. We can put you in contact with some of the people from those states as well who have gone ahead and done things like that. But yeah, if you do need help with that, let us know. We know every state's different in how you're able to collect information, so we will work with you one-on-one on how to be able to do that, but that is something that we will help you with.
Great, thank you. Just to add on to that, once the database opens on April 1st, on the right side of the screen where it says Profile Database Resources, that data definitions link will take you to a PDF of all the questions and the definitions and instructions. That can be a downloadable PDF that you can also send to different PSAPs. An easier version of what Sarah was mentioning, but definitely another option too. All right, the next question to probably Sarah and Lori. Could you help define the term next gen?
Okay, in which I guess we would need more information for that. I mean, I think you're referring to our use of the word next gen in some of the questions, and we would need some more information as to which question you're referring to in order to answer that, I believe. But please send us an email and let us know, which question you want to talk about in that context, and we can work with you.
Thank you. And a reminder, if you have any questions or comments, please send those through the chat feature. The next question, kind of for the group, could you reiterate again what days both data collection efforts will open and close?
Yes, for the National Profile Database, data collection opens on April 1st, April Fool's Day, and we're planning to close it on June 1st.
All right. And John, would you mind reiterating again the start and end dates for your FCC effort?
Sure. The FCC data collection will launch on April 1st and will end on July 31st.
Great, thank you. All right, well, that wraps up the questions that we've received so far. So I think we can end early and give everyone 15 minutes back in their day. But thank you so much to our presenters today and to everyone who logged in. We'll record, the session is recorded, and we'll make the recording available to all of the state points of contact within the next week. So be on the lookout in your email for that. If you know of anyone who had hoped to join today but wasn't able to, we will have another session next Wednesday on April 1st. So in that same email, we'll send out the registration for that second session as well. Again, thank you everyone for taking the time to join today. We hope this was helpful and we were able to answer some of your questions. And have a great rest of your Wednesday.